Hi, welcome to Let's Get Acquainted with Hillary Gooden. Gratitude. Finishing this year, 2022, we're about to close it out, and it's still time to finish strong with gratitude, being thankful for the good, the bad, the ups, the downs, through it all, being grateful, going into the new year with a great attitude of gratitude so that you can start the new year in a good place, in a from a place of being strong and making the pace, making the what is it the word I want to use, making that pace that'll take place for you in the new year. So before we get started, I have my special guest with me today, Miss Martha Ninos, and we are going to have a wonderful conversation. So make sure that you are ready to go forward with us. Make sure that you share this broadcast out. Let someone else know about this broadcast so they too can be inspired and uplifted uh, to have gratitude in their hearts right now. So after this commercial, we're going to come back and get our conversation started. Here we go. Hi, busy women leaders. I'm talking to you. Are you juggling your family, your business, your career, and your health? Afraid that if just one ball drops to the ground, everything could fall apart because everybody's looking at you. You're stressed and overwhelmed. You're looking for answers, for help that's real help, for solutions. I have Vibrant Life Solutions that can help you. I am Hillary Gooden, the Vibrant Life Coach, author, speaker, lymphologist, and pastor. I empower busy women leaders with strategies to reduce stress and anxiety while increasing energy, clarity of mind, better sleep, better health, and vitality. Oh yeah, and boost your immunity. If you're ready for that, you say, I need that in my life right now. Let's connect. You can reach me at www.hillarygooden.com. You can direct message me on Facebook or LinkedIn at Hillary Gooden. Or else if you would like to get on a free 20-minute strategy call, a clarity call, go to bit.ly/Hillary Gooden. That's bit.ly/Hillary Gooden. I absolutely believe you got the power to help your body, help you live a more vibrant life. All right. Welcome back. As you're here, please make sure that you share this broadcast out. And while you're at it, put in the comments where you're coming in from so I can shout you out. I'm coming in from the Chicagoland area, and my oh my, is it cold here. Let's find out where my guest is coming in from. I'm going to bring out Miss Martha Ninos.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi. Welcome to Let's Get Acquainted. How
Yes.
you doing?
Well, look, I'm in California. I'm a little embarrassed to
Oh,
say because it's a little warmer than I'm sure Chicago is.
just tell me, how warm is it? What's the temperature?
It feels like about 67, something like 68. But
And
yeah, that's cold for me. Look, I'm wearing a sweater.
wait a minute. Now listen. The news that I heard before starting the broadcast was that our temperature was dropping by 67 degrees.
Ooh,
So we're gonna
is that
with the
ironic?
wind
Is
chill.
that
With the
ironic?
wind
I
chill,
got
it's going to be
67.
below in the let's see, like 35 degrees below zero.
No.
So
You
there's some
know,
serious
the wind
difference
chill
going
in
on.
Chicago is no joke. I remember the first time I went from California to Chicago, and I think I nearly died for about 5 minutes. It was so cold.
Oh my God. I was just telling you how every year, I don't care what year it is, I'm never ready for it. One of these days I'm gonna move away from this place. And where I would move is gonna have to be someplace that's got more warm weather than cold for sure.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
but through it all, I'm grateful. I'm thankful. to be alive. I'm thankful to, that God is just still seeing me through no matter how cold it gets. So, that's what we're talking about today, being grateful and finishing strong, finishing this year strong and starting the next year strong with gratitude, the attitude of gratitude. When you hear of gratitude or that term attitude of gratitude, what comes to mind for you?
It is an attitude. I think that we need to be mentally positive and grateful for what we have and not for what we don't have. And it didn't
Mm,
always I didn't always know that. When you're growing up, you're just kind of living, you're just kind of going with the flow. And as things start happening in your life, you start to realize, okay, could be worse. This is okay. Could be worse. I am here. Could be worse. And so, but you have to go through those could be worse moments in order to sometimes be, grateful. But I am grateful that I am here. I'm grateful that we're here, end of year, and I couldn't end this year better than with you, Pastor Hillary.
Well, thank you so much for that.
Hmm.
And it really is something that we might as well be grateful. We
That's
might as
right.
well be thankful because it could always be worse.
That's right. That's right.
Don't ever say it can never be worse. It's like you're calling worse to you.
Yeah, don't even
Come
say
on,
it. Yeah, don't
yeah,
manifest that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
right.
no, no,
Don't
no.
even
Don't
put it
even
at
go there. It's
all.
all good. It's all good.
It's
This is
all
good.
good. Yes.
That's right. Even if you're gonna be down 67 degrees, you're fine. We have a warm
Even
house.
still.
Miss Hillary, it's interesting you say that because last year I was kind of going through a moment. We all go through these phases, and I was like, I had to move homes. I had something happen in my family, and I had to move
Mm,
homes, and I ended up in a house that wasn't mine. I had to give up my home through a divorce, and then I was feeling sorry for myself, blah blah blah. And then I go outside, and there's a family in a van, and they're living in a van. I'm like, you know what am I doing? What was I
yeah.
thinking? This is okay. I was just, going from that to this, and I still have a roof. And then I walk a little further or farther, and there's a person under a tree with a
Mm,
blanket. So, I mean, come on. That was just a sign to say, yeah,
right.
Martha, shut up. It's
Yeah.
okay. You're going to be fine. It could be worse.
Right. Because the person in the car was saying, man, it can't be worse than this. But then there's the person that's out in the elements,
Yeah.
with just a blanket to cover him. I saw a guy walking with a comforter wrapped around him
Yeah.
today. He looked like someone that was homeless. And
Yeah.
I just, you have to be thankful,
Let's be
and you
thankful.
pray for other people, because anything could happen. And that's one thing too, Martha. People that are homeless, it doesn't mean that they're uh, bad people or
No.
alcoholics and stuff like that. Not necessarily. Sometimes these situations happen, and they have no other recourse. They have no resources to help them
Yeah. We don't
for a
know.
season.
That's right.
So
We
yeah,
don't know everybody's story. We don't know how they got there. We don't know what circumstances they gone through. And so, yeah, I absolutely agree. We should not judge why they are in the position that they're at. And let's just be grateful we're in the position that we are.
yeah. So the first thing that I have here today is for scripture. And it's from First Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 18, which says, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you and you and you and me. And emphasis on in all circumstances. Give thanks.
Give
Find
thanks.
something to be thankful for because truly it's enough to focus on that's negative, like you were talking about being positive. There's plenty of negative things to
Absolutely.
focus on in our world, in this country, the world abroad. It's all brought so close with the internet and with TV. We're all in this war with Ukraine and Russia. We're all in it.
That's right.
With things that are happening. But even them, like Zelensky was saying, I don't know if you got a chance to see it on TV when he was at the White House and spoke to Congress. Um, he got to talk to the congressman, and he was saying, the Christmas is coming, And we're going to celebrate Christmas, even though the circumstances won't be quite the same, but they're going to find a way to lift each other up. You
Be-
know,
because we're here.
my God. So in all circumstances, and we'll
That's
be
right.
talking about these all circumstances as we go along.
Hmm.
Something may come to you that
Yeah.
make you think about something that you could share, here today. And
Yeah.
so, what is gratitude? Gratitude, per the dictionary, says uh, the quality of being thankful, the quality of being thankful, the readiness to show appreciation for and to return kindness, for somebody giving you kindness, to be thankful, to be ready to do that, and to receive it as well as to give it. That's what that's saying. Be ready.
Yeah.
Do you have a problem receiving when somebody gives you compliments and they say want to tell you things and you shrink away from it?
I say thank you now, and I used to be like, ah, no, you stop that, that kind of thing. And you know what? It's okay to say thank you. When somebody gives you a compliment, and accept that. If you feel that it's genuine, of course,
Hmm.
give that
Yeah.
genuine kindness to others, and I think that's okay. And I think equally, like you said, we should give it back, and
Hmm.
we should spread that like confetti all over the world.
Yes.
We should,
Yes.
write it, speak it, yeah, yell it, sing it, whatever it might
Hmm.
be.
Hmm.
And the older I get, the more I'm finding that actually that fills my cup, making others
Yes.
feel a little bit better, and I don't
Yes.
expect anything in return. And I think that's the other thing people need to realize, just give
Yeah.
without
Yeah. And some.
expecting, and it's such a much better like process, I feel.
Yes. Absolutely. And sometimes like in the holiday time, you encounter maybe more people if you're out shopping and different things like that. Sometimes a smile, you might smile, catch up another person's uh, eye, that eye contact, and a
Hmm.
smile breaks the ice. And you never
Yeah.
say anything to them, but you said something to them just by
Yeah.
being showing, as you said, that quality of
Yeah.
being kind. That's a show
Yeah.
of kindness. It's so
Yeah.
simple,
It's so simple.
you
And
know.
I'm completely obnoxious when it comes to that, because and my kids will tell you, like, I talk to the shopping clerk, everybody, the barista, like, and I've made it a point to, how people wear name badges. So
Yes.
I spot their name badge, and say their name is James, and thank you so much, James, and it kind of catches them
Yeah.
off guard, but
Yeah.
it does kind of make it so that they know that I paid attention to them and they're a person to me.
Yes.
So I think
I
that
do
you're
that too.
absolutely, you do. So Hillary, you and I should
Yeah.
go shopping together.
I know. I like to call people by their names if I know their name, because
Yeah,
it's, people respond to that. I respond to it. It's
yeah,
like you say, it's a human. We're humans.
we're
So for those
human.
of you that are watching, do you find yourself giving people smiles, especially right now? You may be encountering crowds of people or more people
Hmm.
than usual. Just find yourself smiling more as a way of being showing kindness. If you do, put a one in the comments.
There you
Put a
go.
one
There
in the
you go.
comments. We'd like to know.
Yeah,
So go ahead.
I was going to say, you mentioned if something sparked my attention, and kindness actually is one that I wanted
Yes.
to bring up, because so for everybody listening, just so you guys know, Hillary heard me give a little talk. We were in a little chat together. It's always an international like talk, Hillary. We did
Yes.
that was awesome.
Yes. Yes.
And I
Yes.
spoke about so I live in the Silicon Valley area here in California. It's a little warmer than Chicago, and I know. I didn't get here the kind of the traditional Silicon Valley way, and I spoke about how with kindness I was able to be where I'm at, and now it's like 26, 27 years in, and so now I want to tell others that they can be at these places too, that maybe are not represented by African American or Latinos or any
Mhm.
other underrepresented group, but we can be here. But the way that I got there was actually with kindness, people just opening doors, people just teaching me, people just giving me advice. And so
Yes.
kindness has played. If I really step back and I say, what was it? It was a combination of kindness and willingness to accept that
Yeah.
kindness.
And willingness to accept it. Yes,
Mhm.
that's a big thing.
Yeah.
It's bigger than we realize for those of us that it's something I had to kind of learn to do because I always kind of shied away from it, wanted to be in the back. No, don't bring
Yeah.
attention to me. But now, if someone says, "Oh, you're amazing," I say, "I am. Thank you so much."
Thank you. Oh, stop it. That's
Oh,
right. Thank you so
yes.
much. That's right. I
But
love it.
just accepting it and being okay with that, and then being able to give that out as well, because it can
Yeah,
just brighten the day.
that's right.
Um, so I love that. You want to get into your story a little bit later. I know you're going to tell us what you can.
Yeah.
So if we're just talking about different, what are some of the ways to practice gratitude? Because you have to practice it. You have to do it, and it's like what I say to my clients that as far as being a lymphology expert, dealing with them about the lymphatic system, you learn, you gain understanding, but then you got to take action and do the stuff, implement the things
Yeah.
to activate your lymphatic system. Same way with activating gratitude, you have to practice it, and the more you do it, the easier it is, and the easier it is, the more you do it. All right.
That's right.
So let's just talk about this first one here. Can you see it? Can you read that out loud?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it says, e- hold on a minute. Here, hold on. End each day with something you're thankful for. All right.
Yes. So do you ever find yourself doing something like that?
Absolutely. And I think that it's a good reminder to just end the day like that. And maybe it's a few things we're thankful for.
Yeah,
And I think making it through the day is one, because some days you just wonder, how the heck did I even make it through?
I know.
And just take a minute to breathe. And in the hustle and bustle of the work world, we move so fast, and sometimes we just forget. And you know what, I'm definitely a victim of that. And
Yeah,
I'm starting to appreciate silence and stillness a little bit
yes.
more, and that sometimes comes at nighttime or in the middle of the morning, and we're
Hmm.
just waking up, and it's like, just to appreciate that, okay, you know what, we're going to be all right today, or this was, we made it through, thank you.
Hmm.
And here we are.
Yeah, yeah. That's the time to reflect on, like you said, the things that happened and what was good. Sometimes I look for what was the one thing that was good today.
Yeah.
Especially when it look like you're going through a lot on your job and your business or
Yeah.
whatever it is, in your relationship. Sometimes it can be so challenging. What was one thing
Yeah.
that was good, that made me smile, that made me laugh, let me
Yeah.
rethink on that thing,
Yeah.
and thank God. And what I do now, Martha, and for those of you who are listening, you may think of what something you can do. But what I do now is when something happens, even if it's like a prayer for a parking space when I get to the mall or when I get to wherever I'm going, I know parking spaces I can be,
Especially now.
yeah, and then you go and someone is pulling right out in front of where you need to be. And I said, thank you, Lord, I thank you. I see you. You heard me. And I thank you. I make a point of doing that because sometimes
We miss.
we miss some of those little small things that actually happened. That was good.
Yeah. And I've gone decades like that, to tell you the truth.
Yes.
So, the fact that I'm here, first of all, talking to you today is amazing, because, you're talking about God and, faith, and that's all amazing. And, for me, I was very honest with you, and I said, it's only been, 3 or 4 years that I've kind of started to pay attention and listen and watch those signs. And I'm like, okay, there's got to be something bigger. It's got to
Yes.
not just
Yes.
be. I can't just
Absolutely.
have that parking space all the time in the front, just because, right? So
Yeah.
there's reasons, and certain things have happened to me that I'm like, oh, that makes absolutely no sense, except for something
Except
bigger,
for,
except
yeah.
for whatever
Yeah.
that bigger is to the world, right? Everybody believes in something different, but they all believe in good. So whatever that is. So yeah, I think that we need to, there's a lot of negatives throughout some people's days and through mine, as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
let's focus on the good stuff. Even if, hey, my pants fit, I don't know, whatever that might be.
That could be
That
a
would be
big deal.
amazing.
That's time to do a little dance, depending on if those are pants you couldn't get into last week, okay? So we have
Sorry.
Lotus Richey Ignite. She's joining us. She says gratitude is the best
Yes,
attitude.
ma'am.
And I know she believes that too.
Yes.
So then she says here, what is this? Can you read that one?
It says small have big impact. That's right.
Yes. For us, or if we're giving that smile to somebody else, or
Yeah.
just a quick compliment, like you said, even mentioning the customer service person's name or whatever like that.
Yeah.
I was talking to a customer service rep, and I needed to make arrangements about a bill. I was so stressed out about it, but the customer service rep, he said, "Ma'am, don't worry, we
No.
got you. Everything is fine." He said, well, when we get done with this, I'm gonna pray for you, okay?
Okay.
And I was like,
Yeah,
but he prayed for me. He
that's
did
right.
pray
We
for
need, you know
me.
what?
He said, we're not here to stress you out. And I was just like, when I got off the phone, I said, Lord, thank you. We have to be thankful, find those places where we can truly, like you said, when it's really real, the
Yes.
difference too.
Yes.
Yeah.
One thing I started noticing, especially with driving, because driving is such a stressful thing, right? I started noticing, you're talking about parking spaces. I know this seems really silly, but when somebody goes like this, like to move out of the way or go ahead, like it feels
Yeah.
kind of rude. So I started kind of doing like more of a, you know, and the attitude of the other person completely changed because
Yes.
I'm no longer pissed off. It's like, yes, welcome, come on over, get out of
Yeah.
here. But in a much
It's
different attitude, then
the
there's a
attitude of
much,
gratitude.
then the reciprocation is so different. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
thank you, okay, now we got some good to good
Yeah. I
yeah.
love it. Our guest Lotus says, "What a phenomenal show! Thanks,
Yes,
ladies.
Lotus, yes,
You can be
yes,
so busy
pray
doing
for
so many
me.
things. Yes, yes, so much stuff to do.
Yeah.
Here's our second point is we're talking about different ways you can practice gratitude. And so the second one we have here is to start a gratitude journal.
Yeah.
And the first time I heard someone talk about this was Oprah Winfrey. She used to talk about having gratitude, writing down a gratitude journal. And that's something that can be very helpful to even put yourself in a mind of what did happen.
Yeah.
What am I grateful for? What happened that was good for me?
Yeah.
What did I do for myself that made me happy today?
Yeah.
We have to remember ourselves too. So,
Yeah. Can I tell
what
you
do
a
you
little
think
bit
of?
about what sparked my
Please,
brain right now? So I
yeah.
am a horrible writer as far as like my penmanship is awful. I write like a 2-year-old because I've been typing. I'm here in Silicon Valley, right? So I type all the time. So about 2 years ago, I started writing, and I would send myself little notes on my phone. Like whatever it was that I thought of, or maybe it was a reflection of when I was a child. Maybe it was
Hmm.
something that all of a sudden made sense, or that sign, like that, whatever it was. And I started to send myself text. So maybe this is a modern way of doing journals. I don't know. The
Yeah.
people who can't write nice like me, to the point where I would do posts like on LinkedIn. And on LinkedIn, these posts would be about basically a story from my childhood that would somehow make sense in the professional world now.
Mm.
Um, and then all of a sudden it made sense. And then people would started to react to those stories, said, you know what? I also didn't finish college. I also entered this professional career without that, or I was given an opportunity without the experience, whatever it was,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
started writing little stories, typing them, and to the point where we'll talk about it later, but I have a book, right? And it was just little things, little tiny reflections, little things, and before you know it,
Yeah.
700-800 days later,
You got a book.
you got a book. You got a book of something that makes sense,
Yes.
and anyways, it was just because I started writing daily, every 2 days, whatever it was, whenever sending myself texts, I was my own friend.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's how I did my journaling.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
used to when I started journaling, I would journal And if you do journal, if you keep a gratitude journal or wellness journal or just a journal in period, put a two in the comments below.
Yeah.
Uh, I when I first started journaling, my journaling would get into like I was writing a book. And I was
Yeah,
like,
me
wait a minute,
too.
this is taking. I have so much, so much, so much that I wanted to say
Yeah.
about what happened through the day because I was remembering the details of this and that. I
Yeah.
was like, oh shoot, this is just too much. It
Yeah.
almost was overwhelming to me to write the daggone journal. I had to learn how to just make a point. Make
Yeah,
a
and that's
point.
important, right? But
Make
you
a
know,
point.
when you have your own control of your, the amount of paper you have on that journal, and it's no, then you just keep writing, whatever it is.
Yeah,
Just you know what? There's some beauty in releasing, releasing,
yeah, it
releasing,
is.
releasing, and it's almost like, okay, I feel better after that.
Yeah,
Where like when you're
yeah,
working with systems like LinkedIn posts and things, you have like these boundaries that you have to abide by, and it's like,
yeah.
okay, how can I make a point? And I'm Latina, we talk a lot. So, how do I make a point given, 1,300 characters or whatever it is? And so
Yeah, yeah.
it's
That's
practice. I said it was my
that's like
internship to my writing.
yeah, it that has helped me with social media, with
Yeah.
getting to the point. And one of the ones that really helped me till I would get tickled so much, but I got on that platform just so that I could learn how to get to the point with the stuff that
Mhm.
the tips and things like that that I wanted to give out because
Yeah.
I would get sidetracked and start just talking all over the place.
And we
And
can. We
yeah,
can.
and that was Snapchat. You have 10 seconds. Go. And I
Okay,
loved
you're
it.
way ahead of me, Hillary.
10 seconds, and I
I
was
can't
like,
even get into that.
and it helped me so much, but I would get so tickled at myself. I said, Lord have mercy. And then I would go to Instagram. This is before they had stories and all the stuff they have now, but
Yeah.
you could do an audio and it was 1 minute,
Okay.
get to the point in 1 minute. And those things kind of helped me too, uh,
Yeah.
just to get to the point. But what has that got to do with gratitude? That's just, I'm thankful for those
Yes. I'm
for those
thankful.
different platforms.
Yeah, I was annoyed
Yeah,
at first. I was like, "What do you mean I have boundaries? What do you mean I can't just write? Why is my penmanship so bad?" And then you know
yeah,
what? I am grateful that I was able to look at the positive in that. It
yeah,
was training for me. It was uh, a way for me to look into my story or whatever I wanted to speak about, and like, what is the point of my story, and
right.
or my writing or my post or whatever it might be, and yeah, I am grateful for those learnings, but we have to sometimes step back and go, okay, this is why we're doing this.
Yes, exactly.
Hmm.
What's my why? That's what we always
Yeah,
hear, right? What is
yeah,
my why? And
yeah,
and I think your why stays the same basically. You may adjust it, shift it here and there,
yeah.
but basically the why of why you're doing the thing, and my why is because God said so.
Same.
Because God said so, and so I don't. It's nothing else been added to it. That's it.
Yeah,
But number
attitude.
three was thanking. You mentioned about mentioning customer service kind of person's name, but to
Hmm.
thank someone, we're talking about practicing gratitude. To
Yeah,
thank someone weekly,
yeah.
at least one person. You might call. Most people don't even call on the phone anymore
No.
unless it's an emergency. It's all
Yeah,
text messaging, and
yeah.
even if it's a text, but just sending someone just to say, "Hey, I was thinking about you." It could really be uplifting.
That's right.
Really be uplifting. I have received, a simple call or a text right when I needed that.
Yeah. Isn't
So I
it funny
know,
that it always comes at the time you needed it the most?
yeah, it's amazing.
It
So
does.
that's just another
Yeah.
way, people, that you can practice gratitude. And maybe pick one person. You say, this week I'm going to choose so and so. However, you're going to reach out to them, and to
Yeah.
actually do it. Because when we give gratitude, when we thankful and kind to other people, it sets off different dopamine chemicals in your brain that make you feel good.
Yes. And who
That make
doesn't
you
want that
feel
dopamine all over the place, right? So, you say weekly, but I think daily, like,
yeah,
and frequently, I mean, if
yeah,
we can, right? But I think,
yes,
the more formal thank yous, they don't even have to be that formal anymore. Like you said, it could be a text. It could be just looking somebody in the eye and acknowledging that they're there. Look, I work at a big corporation. I work at Adobe, everybody. I work at the Photoshop company, and there's
Okay.
25,000 people there. And, a lot of the people that make sure the back end of the company, the janitors, the cooks, the chefs,
Yeah. Yeah.
all those people don't, aren't as recognized, and I think it's important to just say, hey, thank you. How are you doing? And get to know people just one level deeper, and
Yes.
don't make sure they are seen. Make sure they are
Mm-hmm.
seen, whether it's that person on the counter, the janitor. My mother was a janitor, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, very aware of this.
Yes.
And yeah, I think it's so, so important. And it doesn't have to be formal. And by the way, if you like those people, this is like the number one thing I've discovered with networking.
Mm-hmm.
I have people in my network, like my business network, that I've known since I was in my teens.
Oh
And
wow.
I'm 25 now. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, no, but because you send them the Christmas messages, you send them the how you doing, you send them the hey, let's do a lunch, you send them the meme, you send them the cartoon, little thing, just pepper those throughout the year.
Yes.
Keep those
Yes.
good people in your back pocket
Yes.
all the time. All the time.
Exactly.
Don't let them
Exactly.
go. Yeah.
Exactly. And somebody might have you in their back pocket too.
Maybe I might be in somebody's.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's a big bad pocket, but yeah, I'm there.
Exactly. So let's move forward because I want to get to you. So
Hmm.
number 4 is to pray and meditate. And I think you mentioned it earlier about just sitting still in the quiet, learning to sit
Yes.
still and in the quiet space.
Yeah.
And when you're moving and you're working, whether it's your own business or on your job or whatever, it can be in your family, at home, in
Yeah.
the community, at church. So many places you find yourself having
Yeah.
that time to meditate, to pray, or even just to sit still. They're talking about mindfulness,
Yeah.
just to sit still, hear yourself
Yeah.
breathing. You know, I've had
Yeah.
people say, I don't know how to do that. I sit
Hmm.
for a few seconds and everything comes and I got to get up and do this and do that. Again, this is something you have to practice.
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 That's right.
So, what do you have to say about prayer and, meditation?
Yeah, like I mentioned, kind of coming into faith, it's kind of a newer thing for me. Actually, I shouldn't say it's newer. I grew up, in a faith family, but because of the things that have happened in my life, my father passing away, me living in poverty, there were so many other things that happened that you kind of sometimes stop, believing until signs are in front of you says we're here, we're here, we're here, we got you,
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and I'm glad that those signs and that bigger was so aggressive with me, to tell you the truth, and showing me the presence of this light that I needed to acknowledge. Because the moment that I did acknowledge that I'm not doing this alone, uh, the
mhm.
world the moment I opened up to the world opened up to me.
Yes,
The
yes.
world opened up to
I
me. It
love
was
that.
fantastic. It was
I love
fantastic.
that.
And I'm embracing that. And it's new to me. And I'm like discovering, and it's like I have a new present. And I'm like, oh my God, there's a sign. But this whole prayer and meditation is something that I am just getting reacquainted with, to tell you the truth. And I'm feeling like prayer for me is just, it's just saying good things. It's just being positive. It's just acknowledging. It's just hoping for better. It's just doing better. It's
Hmm.
just reaching out. It's writing and
Yeah,
making sense of things. It's
yeah.
vocalizing my story and letting others know that, what I've lived through perhaps is hope for somebody else, and the meditation comes in the form of just sitting back and just making sense of whatever it is, whether it's through the day, my life. I mean, it could be very deep, but it's that stillness
Yes,
that I even
yeah,
like, just saying stillness
yeah.
and just taking a little breath there. It just feels really powerful.
Hmm. So when we talk about that stillness and that time of meditation, just sitting quiet in a quiet space, like on your break time, it may be 5 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe the most you can sit still and
Mhm.
quiet, but it can make such a big difference.
Yeah,
You come out of it a little different, a
yeah,
little different.
yeah. And not everybody, I think we have to try to find the time. I mean, I'm a mother of two, and I
Mhm.
remember like when I had my kids were little, like it felt like we had not even 30 seconds,
Right.
for ourselves. If I kind of look back and I'm like, man, I should have probably been more still. But let's just find that time, whether it's when we're dropping off the kids at school and just taking a
Mhm.
minute just to, or listening to a song, Hillary. I don't know if you're into music, but
Sure.
I love me a good song, and that makes me feel good. It's like, okay, we can do this now. Let's move on.
I love music. I love music, but I love times of quiet too. And
Yes,
even in the car, to turn the
yes.
radio off, and I may just, just be thinking about how good God. I remember one time, I don't know why this came to me, but I remember one time driving in my car on the way to work. I was working then, and I
Yeah.
looked out the window, and I started crying, and I had
Hmm.
tears wrapping under my chin, and I was like, "Girl, get a grip! What is wrong with you?" That's what I'm saying. And it would occur to me when I looked through the window, the window was up, but it looked like the window was down. It was so clear,
It's
and I
so
could see
clear.
so that made me so thankful
Yes,
to God that I
yes,
just started something welled up in me that just I started crying, and I was
yes.
like, "Oh my God,"
That is beautiful. Well,
you know.
it's so interesting that you say that because I live here in California, and there in the area that I live by, there's a lot of trees, like beautiful trees that have been here over
I
hundreds of
love
years.
trees.
Yes, and so there's this windy, dangerous road that you have to go through to get through all these trees. And you're absolutely right. Like some days just looks like it looks like I'm going through a postcard.
Yeah,
It
I
looks
love
like I'm
that.
literally going through a postcard, and it's like, God, if somebody could just see it through my eyes, like it
Yes,
is the colors were so vibrant. The greens are like different shades of green. The sky is like, a different blue than it doesn't even exist in the color crayon box. Like it is
right.
fantastic. And just taking that all in sometimes it is very beautiful, and
Yeah,
acknowledging that look, we're just this tiny little thing going through this postcard of the world,
yeah,
and we're here and we get a chance
exactly.
to experience it. Now, how beautiful is that?
I love that. Like a post, like being in a postcard. Let's get
Yes.
to our last one, our last of 5 ways you can practice being grateful because we want you to finish strong. We want to finish strong, but we don't want to be the only ones finish strong. We want you to finish strong as well. And finishing strong meaning you're beginning strong. No gap,
Mhm.
no gap. Just going right
No
in
gap.
from finishing strong to beginning strong.
Yes.
So our last one that we have here is to focus on others' intentions. And sometimes, what does that bring to mind for you? To focus on others' intention.
Let's see. I mean, that could be interpreted so many different ways, but I mean, perhaps one of the ways is that, let's try to understand where the other people are coming from. Perhaps.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Where are they, maybe somebody's aggressive, and your first reaction is to, hey, hold back, but reality might be they're having a bad day, maybe they're going through some stuff,
Mm-hmm,
and there's that pause again. Let's pause and just think, why might this be happening? And
mm.
we start to weird out people. They're like, wait, why are you not getting mad at me? And it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's like, what's going on? Let's just ask them questions. But yeah, I think that sometimes we are too quick to react.
yes, absolutely. It makes me think about this scripture that says, "Soft tongue breaks hard bones." You
Mm,
know, and we don't have to react to
to
everything.
everything. No,
And like you said, that disarms people.
it
They
does.
they're ready for you to fight back, and when you
Yeah.
don't fight back, then what are they going to do?
Well, you know what?
Most of the time they're going to bring it down. They're going to bring it
Well,
down.
their idea of fighting back is different than maybe our idea, Hillary, because our idea of
Yeah,
fighting back is fighting back with kindness, fighting back with maybe acceptance, fighting back with a pause, fighting back with, hey, let's talk about this. And it
fighting
catches
back with
people
a
off.
smile.
Yeah, and it catches people off guard. They're like, it's almost like the best superpower in the world.
It really is. I
Hmm.
have a story for that one, and we're gonna. Okay, I'm gonna tell this right quick. And if you disarm people, those that are watching, if you disarm people with a smile, or do you find that your superpower to reacting to, not reacting, but what was the thing, to focus on others' intentions, especially when it's it's high level energy that needs to be brought down. Have
Yeah.
you found that you have a superpower that may be smiling, or what was one of the other things you mentioned, Martha?
Just asking, the questions, pausing, there, you just mentioned something else. You mentioned energy,
Yeah.
to react with the same form of energy. I found, and I have teen daughters, there's a lot of that going on.
Out of that,
but
yeah.
but what I found is, don't react with the same negative energy, because
Right.
sometimes it's very easy to mirror each other, and that just gets you nowhere.
There you
you
go.
know um deflect it,
Yes.
and
Yes.
practice that. The more you do practice that, the calmer your days will be. And guess what? That other person will start to maybe come to you with these intentions a little differently next time.
Exactly. I'm going to leave that there in the story for another time, because guess what? It is time to find out about you. We want to
Yeah.
know, we want to get acquainted with Martha Ninos. We know what she thinks about gratitude from different perspectives. But tell us a little bit about who you are and what makes you you. And before
Yeah.
we do that, we got one more comment, and then I
Yes.
want to hear, and this is Abu. He says, "Oh yeah, that's so true. Something we said, and it's been all true."
It's
Abu,
all
he's coming in.
true. Yes,
Yes,
Abu.
I believe he's coming in. Let us know where you're coming in from, but I believe he's coming in from Sierra Leone in Africa.
Oh, very
Yes.
cool. So
Okay,
I was
so
born in Mexico, another
see there?
country.
But I was born right here in the
That's
US of A. So tell us about, just begin to tell us about what you want to share about who you are,
Yeah.
and then tell us what it is that you're doing in the earth to help other people. He said I was right. Yes, coming in
Yes, that's right,
from
Abu.
Sierra Leone, Africa. Thank you so much for joining us live. Make
Yes,
sure you
yeah.
guys share this broadcast out.
Yes.
Okay.
So these are interesting questions. They would seem so easy, like, who am I, and what am I doing on this world? That's a hard question. What I do on a day-to-day basis, just so everybody knows, is I mentioned I work at a technology company. I work at Adobe, and I didn't think Adobe, which is a Photoshop company, I've been there almost 2 decades. I've been there for a long, long time.
Wow.
I didn't think this was a big deal, to be honest, because I thought it was just my job. I mean, when I landed the job in technology, it was just a job I needed. And you guys can read my stories later. But the representation of Latinos is very, very small in the technology industry. And I got an opportunity to talk about my story, which I'll mention in a minute, at a conference in front of 1,200 people. And then after that, it was like, what? You're in tech? How does somebody like you end up at a place like that? And that part, the middle, the how, was super important. It's something that not everybody talks about. As a matter of fact, it's very shameful to talk about this. I mean, there's 62 million Latinos in the United States, and very few of us are talking about it, because it's embarrassing. And it's not only Latinos, it's immigrants in general. And immigrants, being at the first generation, I'm a zero generation immigrant. I was born in Mexico. So let me tell you a little bit about my story. So I was born in Mexico in a shack with no water and no electricity. And my parents picked cotton for a living. And there was no way that there was a future there in Mexico. So they decided they had to come to the other side, which was the United States. But to come to the United States without money means that you have to come here undocumented and through other means. So there's different ways of getting to this country. I'm sure all of you guys have read books about this. But in our case, my mom had to come by foot, and I was a baby. And to come by foot with me as a baby was very, very dangerous. And so she made the decision to hand me to a stranger so that we'd hope to reunite on the other side, which was California. Now, that word hope is pretty a big deal. Hope. Like, this is hope we reunite. But that's what happened. So as they were walking through the hills of San Diego, California, I was coming in a car, and hopefully we'd reunite. And so in our case, we did. And we ended up in Northern California. And my grandfather was here, and my parents end up taking any job that would come their way. And my mom would sew clothes, they clean houses, my dad poured cement, very humble jobs. And throughout all of this process, they're not supposed to say a word because they don't have documentation. They don't have legal papers. And, God forbid anybody finds out that they're here, we could get deported. And so there wasn't much going on in the forms of, hey, we're here. They would never be doing this ever. But I lived in a 1-bedroom home with 8 other people. Nobody knew that because we don't say a word. And that's kind of how I lived my childhood. I didn't know any better. But I do know that my parents thought the United States was much better than Mexico because now we had electricity, running water, and a roof over our head that was not, made out of mud or grass. So here we are, and we're having a better life. See, better is different for different people. In our case, better was just having electricity. Better was just having, this roof over our head. So that's how I lived my childhood without knowing that I was even poor. And so, in my book, I talk about the many adventures of me as a child, very ignorant, of what was going on around us. And now as an older person, I'm almost 50, I make sense of it. It's like, oh, this is why my shoes were only $3. This is why being in technology without a degree and being undocumented at one time is actually a big deal, because you know what? There's millions of people out there in my same situation that don't even think they can come to these companies, not to clean them. I'm actually a marketer in tech. I don't clean the offices. I don't do nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is there are other methods and reasons why I think here on this earth, I was put through all of these different obstacles to go through so that I can actually teach others and tell others with proof, with decades of proof, that you know what, just because you were doesn't mean you have to be. And the way that I was able to overcome a lot of those obstacles. Now, another obstacle that I had is my parents only went to school till 2nd and 6th grade, which means they barely knew how to read. My dad barely knew how to read. My mom was only 6th grade because she was a woman, and she wasn't. She needed to get married. That's what it was. So she actually ended up being prepared for marriage, and she did get married to my father at 16. But yeah, when they came to the United States, their idea of education, because they didn't have anybody educated in their family, was basically send me to school. It was a free babysitter, and that was it. They had no idea about the educational system here. They thought F meant fantástico, which means fantastic in English. That's not the case, obviously. So their idea of the whole educational system was distorted because nobody taught it to them. And by the way, if anybody's listening from an immigration office, let me know. I have ideas on how we can nip the stuff in the bud at the top. But that's basically how I ended up in this world. And then, I've been in the mobile industry. I've been in hardware. I've been in software. None of this stuff I knew anything about. As a matter of fact, technology changes all the time. If you're ever going to get into an industry and not know it, it would be technology. It's not like you're a doctor where you have to be perfect, okay? But in technology, everything changes all the time. And we just need to be adaptable. We just need to be adaptable and say, yes, I can do it. But somebody needs to see that we are that person that's teachable. And there needs to be the methods at that organization or in that area that allow you to do that. So in my case, I had many, many good people come my way. At 14, I was working with my mother at a factory at 14. And I had already been working for years, by the way, as a newspaper carrier. But I actually was not very good at the factory work. I don't, and the owner of the company said, come on into the office because you obviously suck at that other stuff. But coming into the office changed my life because I was like, wow, there's donuts here. It's warm in this office, and I was hooked to the office environment. And but it took a beautiful white woman with blue eyes that I looked nothing like. And back then my hair was like 4 inches high. I had blue eyeshadow, all of it, all of it. And she didn't care. She just cared that I can do the job. And so I hustled and I focused on work. And then through I liked working. She gave me a lot of positive compliments. She gave me a lot of positive advice. And I didn't get that from my parents because my parents didn't know. It's not their fault. But I ended up indirectly having a mentor that guided me. And so these guides, which I call my believers, have been in my life my
Yes.
whole life. And if I step back, there's many of them. But I got kicked out of school because I was considered a bad influence. I was considered a bad influence. I looked, it was the 80s. Everybody looked like a bad influence. Uh, but I did get kicked out of school, but somebody at the other school said, no, 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 hold on. Let's get you out of here. Here's your plan. Can you do this? And I was like, okay, that was my hope plan. That was
Yes.
my hope plan. So bottom line is, look, that's a little bit about me and how I ended up in this Silicon Valley world. And what I'm giving to the world is basically my experience as a child to try and motivate you at a very early age, or even if you're just feeling like you can't or don't have what it takes. If I am there, who comes from a shack and no electricity and no running water, there is hope. There is
Mm.
hope. There's always
Yes.
hope. So anyways, that's a little bit about me. And I think that this new thing that I'm discovering with something bigger is really my purpose. It's really my purpose. And it's really just a aggregation of experiences, of believers, of making sense of everything at this age. And I feel very grateful to be here
Mhm.
and just be able to do that.
Yes. And so tell us, you work with, or not work with, but speak to children in schools, right?
Yes, I have done that as well. So I started speaking at my corporation, which was even scarier than well, sometimes children are very scary, but here I am at my corporation with people from Yale, Harvard, Stanford, and here I am from like continuation school. You know? But we are there. We're all there working together. They didn't know that.
Yes.
Apparently it wasn't important. Apparently just being a mix of people was what was important, and bringing whatever it was to the table important. So that's why I'm a little bit of an advocate for, hey, let's look at the value in coming from a different environment. I always say, if you're
Mm.
looking for diversity, look in diverse places. Like,
Right.
let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So from the speaking to my corporation and speaking to a few other corporations, then the need for speaking to schools started. And that was very scary, because now I'm talking to children that are my children's age. It's like, oh my God, how do you motivate these
Yeah.
kids they need so much motivation? And so, look, I have to stick to my lane. I have to stick
Yeah.
to my lane and what I know. I know
Mm-hmm.
that I am a kid from an underserved background, and I know that
Mm-hmm.
at one point I was considered a bad influence and I didn't have anything, and I lived with, these are all true stories. um and I can say that with the help of good people and very hard work, because it doesn't just happen, you
That's
know
right.
we and the openness to trying these new things, I've been able to overcome. And now teach and write about it because it's the truth.
The truth. The truth will set you free.
It's the
And that's what
truth.
it sets you free. And your truth has set you free. And you're hoping that that same truth is true for somebody else, that an open door for somebody else.
Yeah.
Because you're not talking about a hope path.
A hope
That
path,
same
a hope
path
plan.
has left a trail.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Hillary, once I was okay with kind of just speaking about being undocumented, that's very shameful for some people. And yes, I can see why my parents, didn't bring this up and were silent. But now that I am older, I am not afraid. I am not afraid. So I feel like I am here to speak for the people that are and can't speak for themselves.
Yes.
I am very fortunate. Now, that's a big responsibility. That's a big
Yes.
responsibility. So I think that's why I
So
was given a voice.
is your book, did you write it, did you print it in English and in Spanish?
So I have it in English right now. It just announced like 2 weeks ago. It's called
Oh, okay.
here, I'm just gonna bring it up.
Yeah, what's the name of
It's
it?
called The Other Side, From a Shack to Silicon Valley. And
Wow.
by the way, my mother, this is my mother and me. And
Oh, okay.
isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
And so I was around this age when she handed me to a stranger with these beautiful hands of hers and
Hmm.
hope to get to the other side. And I'm just one of the millions that happens to. And, as a
Right.
child, you don't have control of what happens to you at all. And,
Right.
she just wanted a better life. So no judgment there. I have a better life. It's okay. I have a better life. It's just once we're here, what happens with that kid who has we need to put those opportunities in front of them and guide them. Otherwise, this we could end up in a totally different place. I think that I have a little bit of a blueprint in how to maybe assist with that. And it all
Right.
it all starts with kindness. Going back to your original point, it always starts with
Kindness.
kindness. People giving
Yes.
you advice, people giving you positive pushes, people giving you
Mm-hmm.
opportunities.
Yeah.
It starts with kindness.
Right.
That's number one.
That
Yes.
readiness to receive kindness and to also to give it
Yes.
as well.
That's right,
Because
Hillary.
even like Lotus mentioned, even the small kindness thing that you can do or say to someone or lead someone to their next step. Sometimes that's all we need. If you could lead me to my next step, I'm forever grateful.
Yeah.
Especially to somebody that just don't know, they think there is no other steps.
Yeah.
So they stay small.
They stay small. And
Mm,
I was feeling pretty small at some point, and then somebody guided me, and not so long ago, like before I did the whole speaking thing. Like, look me
yes.
up, Martha Nino. You can see my talk on Adobe for All. But anyways, he gave me guidance. He knew how to speak in front of an audience. I did not. I did not.
Yes.
And I was humble enough to say, help me. Help me. I'm going to be in front of 1,200 people. Please help me not look stupid.
Please
You
help
know,
me.
please help me not look stupid. So, so he did kind of guide me through that. He didn't have to do that. He
Hmm.
had his own job to do. And again, another human that looked zero like me, who was just giving me back his kindness. And,
Yeah.
his motivational words were just 3 words after
What was
that. And
that?
then I knew I was ready. He said, "You are ready.
You are ready.
You are ready." That's
Those
all.
of you that are listening, you are ready for whatever your next step is. Whatever's been worked in you up to this point makes you ready for what's next.
That's right.
It seems simple, but it's the truth. It really is the truth. Like you hear people say, you are enough.
Yes.
It's the same as saying you are ready because you are enough right now to do what's next.
Yeah, yeah. I've found that advice or motivation in the form of 3 words is very powerful.
Hmm.
Um, I see you is another one.
Yes, I see you. I
I
love that.
see you. Somebody said that to me one time. I see you, and it's like, okay, I'm not invisible. I'm not
Yeah,
invisible. Somebody's watching and making sure that things are good. And anyway, so I think the three
yeah,
word motivations are very powerful.
yeah.
Yeah,
Down to 2 words, you matter.
you matter. Yeah. Hey, down to one word, hope.
Hope. Keep hope alive. Jesse
Hope.
Jackson said it best back in the 70s and late 70s and 80s. Keep hope alive.
Yes.
So I hope that we have said something to all of you who are listening on the live. We thank you. And for those that are listening on the replay, you too can share this out to other people in your network and your friends and family that need a little encouragement, that need a little mm, to
Yes.
being grateful and to practicing it on a daily basis. Being
Yes.
kind to yourself and being kind to others. It's what we're all we're here. None of us are on this ball alone.
Yeah, none
We're
of
all
us.
on this ball together
Yeah. Hey,
around
when
the
we die,
world.
Hillary, we all in. There is no dollar sign on that tombstone.
No,
No,
it's not going to do a bit of good for you at that
no,
point.
no,
You know,
no.
so Martha, your final nugget that you would like to leave with the people, and we're going to close this down. But I also wanted to put in, if you want to contact Martha about her book, it's here. It's The Other Side: From a Shack to Silicon Valley. Is that right?
That's right. That's right.
You can be able to reach out to her. Let me put that in right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me grab this comment, and then we're gonna put that up. Abu, he says, "Wow, this is my theme for 2023. Thanks,
That's right.
guys. The knowledge is really given here. We appreciate that. You
Thank you, Abu.
appreciate what we had to say tonight.
Yes.
Uh, um, so if you want to contact her, I did put down your. Oh, here it is. You can reach out to her at marthaninos.com.
No
If you want
S.
to
No, it's marthanino.com. And then,
Nino.
yeah,
Oh,
Nino,
without
like
the
a
oh,
little
I'm
kid,
sorry.
like a little child. It's okay.
Yeah, Nino.
marthanino.com.
And
And
then you
yes,
can also connect
LinkedIn.
with her on LinkedIn at Martha
Yeah.
Nino.
And my
And
book, you
so,
can get it through my website or on Amazon.com here in the US. It is going to come in, it's coming in Spanish because I actually think the Spanish version might actually do very well in our communities.
yes,
So this is going to
yes,
be awesome.
yes.
It's going to be
That's
awesome.
wonderful. That's why I said it, because you
Hmm.
reaching out to those that are on your path that have come the same
Yeah.
way. And there's so
Yeah.
many that are, trying to come in the country right now, as we know, from
Yeah.
everything that's going on. And so we just thank God for what He's doing and how He's using us and how we allow Him to
Yeah.
use us to help somebody else. That's what this show is all about, showcasing people that's not just stuck on me, my, us four, and no more. But what are you doing to help somebody else?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
And when it becomes about somebody else, that's the game changer.
exactly. So, did I give you a space to give your nugget?
No,
Did
but I think you've
Okay.
given me space throughout this whole hour. This has been great, Hillary. Thank you so
Okay.
much. I mean, you are a light, and I hope that everybody listening to this just get something out of it, even if it's a little bit. But be kind, be open to new things. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And just because you're in a certain situation right now, just know it's not permanent. It's not permanent.
Yes.
Everything is very temporary, and you will get through it. Write it down, get it out, release it out to the world. Send me a message on LinkedIn, whatever you need, but you're gonna be all right.
Yes. I thank you again for coming on. I thank everyone that has come through. And again, share, share, share. Tag someone that you know needs to hear this conversation.
Yes.
And I'm here every Thursday for Let's Get Acquainted at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. And if you're on the Pacific Coast, Pacific time, that'll be 4 p.m. for you. And I'm talking about showcasing other people, and we're talking about what it is they're doing to help other people in this world. We need each other. And so, with that being said, I want to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, because when I come back next week, we're going to be heading into the new year. We will have had Christmas. So, Merry Christmas to you, Martha, and your
Yes,
family,
you as
and to
well.
everyone that's listening. Have a happy holiday. Smile, keep a smile on your face, because even when you smile, just another little freebie here. When you smile, it still releases those dopamine, those feel good chemicals, even when it's not a good situation. So if you find yourself smiling and you make yourself smile
Yes.
even through a hard situation, your brain is going to release those chemicals anyway, and it's going to make you feel better to
Yeah.
help you to get through whatever you're going through. So smile, and the
Yes.
whole world smile with you, right?
There you go. Well,
So there
peace
you
and
go.
love, everybody.
Absolutely. Good
Thank
night,
you.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Don't go away.